Boom, baby. We're back post UFC London. Boom breakdown coming in hot right now for you. Um, Good night of fights, man. A lot to take away from the card. Obviously, starting from the main event, we had Jorge Masvidal versus Darren Till. Jorge Masvidal with a huge knockout win over Darren Till in the second round. Nobody really would have predicted that out of the outcomes, in that fight. And even myself, I thought if it was going to be a knockout finish, it was probably going to go Till's way, and if it was going to go decision, it might go Jorge's way. But man, that southpaw switch to the left overhand was nasty, and it was tricky. And he just has that veteran status that, you know, people underestimate Jorge Masvidal. He has a very, very high level skill set, and he knows how to stay cool, calm, collected in there from back in the days where he used to fight in backyards, against just strangers, pretty much show up, walk in, bare knuckle backyard fight. So a guy like that is not afraid to fight anybody. He's not afraid to fight bigger guys, and he enjoys scrapping. So that's a dangerous guy in there. And you could tell in the fight he was took a shot from Darren Till, got sat on his ass, and was kind of blowing kisses to him and just like, yeah, nice shot, but I'm still here, fresh and clear, clear headed. So, nothing was really too much for him to handle, and I think he started to get Darren Till's rhythm. He started slipping those left hands to the outside and throwing good counter shots. He had very, very fast right body kicks to the liver of Darren Till. Those were impressive. And I think he caught Darren Till a lot of times, and Darren Till was kind of like, whoa, like I didn't expect this, and it was interesting fight to see. I kind of feel bad for Darren Till. That knockout was bad. He was out for a while, and it sucks. He's coming off 2 losses now. Might have to, second guess his career at welterweight. Maybe he needs to move up to middleweight. Cutting that weight has a lot of effect on the brain hydration, and obviously he got caught with a clean shot, so you can't blame it necessarily on the weight cut, but it's always a factor. It's always something that has to do with how well you can take a blow. And man, you don't want to take too many more of those, so maybe moving up to 185 might be the best bet for Till. A couple other things I wanted to talk about. I made some notes last night because I don't want to forget about certain things that I want to talk about. Let's talk about cage grabbing, because in that one fight where that guy was grabbing the cage and the referee Leon Roberts was, telling him stop grabbing the cage like 3 times, he did take a point from him eventually. But the main thing with the cage grabs is the guy's affecting the momentum of the fight. Without that cage grab, you never know. The guy could have finished the heel hook, or could have transitioned into a scramble and offset the guy's balance and took him down and ended up on top with a sweep or whatnot, and even maybe a finish. It could stop the outcome of a fight. And with that said, it's really unfair for a guy like that to get away with it, and for the fight to just go on naturally when you're using an illegal technique to stop the momentum of the fight. So it's hard to say what should happen, how many points should be taken, 1 point, 2 points from a cage grab like that. Really depends on the scenario. I feel like as a ref, if you see that a guy's in a submission and he's using the cage to prevent a certain technique from being finished, man, it's like, do you stop the fight? Do you call a DQ win for the guy who's almost trying to finish the fight and he can't because the guy's grabbing the cage and preventing him from doing so? I don't know. Do you take 2 points? Do you restart the fight where the submission was in? Do you start the fight back on the feet? That just doesn't seem right. So it's a tricky situation. Hard job for the refs. Leon Roberts is a great ref. He seems to be very focused in there and makes quick decisions very well. So I'm not going to blame him for not having taken a point right away, but you got to enforce the rules. You got to be on top of that. You can't let guys get away with things, and then later on in other fights, guys feel like, okay, well, they're just going to give me a warning, so I'm going to cheat. So it can't be like that. We're back with the boom espresso right here, cappuccino style. Chill. Um, Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the three commentators in the booth. It's cool, all the guys do a great job. I love Paul Felder, I love Dan Hardy, I love John Gooden, who does the color. Dan Hardy does, oh no, Dan Hardy does the color, I think, and then John Gooden does more of like a, play-by-play. Or is it the other way around? I'm not sure, but either way, my point is, three guys in the booth is just a little too much. It's like guys are trying to talk and break down techniques and get in detail about what's going on in the fight, and this guy's trying to do the same thing, and this guy's trying to talk about stats, and it's like it's very hard not to talk over one another when there's three people trying to talk. You have to keep a good flow, and you can't be talking over each other in the middle of the fight. It's hard for the fans to understand what you're trying to say if you have to kind of stop and let the other guy talk and this and that. So I like two guys better. I feel like it gives a little bit more space for things to get told, and it gives you a little bit more room to let go of your play-by-play and really get into detail about what's going on in the fight and techniques and breaking down how a guy should get out of a move or what a guy's looking for. With three guys, it's just a little bit too much dialogue, in my opinion. So I'd like to see them go with two, but it's a tough job because you got to kind of take a back step. If you do feel like really high energy, you want to talk a lot, you got to be aware of, like, is this guy trying to jump in? Is this guy being quiet? Is he finished with his sentence? It's a hard job, but I like the two guys in the booth. Another thing I wanted to highlight, Dan Ige, what a gentleman that guy is. A lot of guys get on the mic and just go off and call people out, but he made it a point to shout out New Zealand and just, be humble about everything and just kind of, put his prayers and wishes out to the people suffering and going through the tragedy. So I thought that was really cool. And, shout out to him for just being a humble, good guy. I really like seeing that. It's not often that we see that, every time in this game nowadays. Everyone's just kind of going nuts, trying to be a personality and call your shots, and that's how the business is. But it's nice to see guys just be humble and good-hearted people out there in the sport, and Dan Ige is one of them, so shout out. And also with his performance, he came out of the gate real fast. I thought that was really impressive, and I think that that's to be noted, that it's not easy to come out really fast in the first round in the fight, because what that does is that also opens you up to risk, and it opens you up to get caught, and it's just something that's really hard to commit to. So when I see a guy come out of the gate hot and he's just in your face trying to finish the fight, that's a guy that's not afraid to get tired. That's a guy that truly believes in his power, truly believes in his finishing ability, and that's a scary thing, because most guys have a agreement that let's just feel each other out a little bit in the first round. Let's start a little bit slow. Let's see what each other's got. And if you both agree to it, it could slowly pick up the pace. The second round comes around. Okay, now these guys are letting go. Now these guys can feel each other out. Sorry about that. Phone's going off. So to see a guy like Dan Ige come out fast like that, trying to finish the fight right off the get-go, it's just really impressive. Shows his confidence. He's had two really fast finishes, two great performances, and look forward to things to come for that guy in the near future for sure. What a fucking intense fighter Molly McCann is, right? That girl's got some fire in her. I don't know if it was the hometown thing or what, but she's a gritty fighter, and she's not afraid to get hurt. Obviously, broken orbital bone, but kept pushing. Doctor came in. She's like, "Nah, I'm good." Smiling the whole way through. What a gritty fight that was. Did I say gritty 3 times? Yeah, gritty, motherfucker. That shit was amazing. I see a lot of good things to come for her. She's in your face. She seems to have packs of power in her punch too, and that was a really entertaining fight and got the crowd going in London. And I'm looking forward to see how things play out for her as well. Just crazy intensity from her, and that was cool to see. That was an exciting fight. Another thing, Michael Bisping inducted in the Hall of Fame. Man, what a cool little montage they put out for Bisping. I thought that was really nice. It was cool seeing him on the big screen. He's like, these motherfuckers, man, 'cause he almost started crying. And, he likes to keep things light, fun. And it was just, it was a really cool thing to watch him get inducted because his whole story of his long career, ups and downs, taking wins and losses, being knocked out brutally by Dan Henderson, coming back from that, losing to Luke Rockhold, getting the rematch and knocking him out to win the championship. Just amazing story, man. I really really happy to see that guy get inducted. It's just like the guy's lost an eyeball. He can't see out of one eye. I mean, a lot of trials and tribulations in his career. True show of dedication, persistency, and self belief, and just hard work, grinder, just never giving up attitude. I think a lot of people could take a lot from him and his career. And congratulations to Michael Bisping. Shout out, doing a great job in the commentary booth and with Karen Bryant at the desk. A lot of great dialogue going on from him. I love watching what he has to say, and he keeps it fun. He keeps it, energetic, and it's cool to see what he's doing after his career too. So shout out to Bisping. Did I say rematch with Luke Rockhold? I'm not sure if that was a rematch or not, but either way, to go from all the ups and downs that Bisping's faced and then to become world champion, I remember I teared up when I saw that because I just knew, like, man, that guy went through so much to get to that, finally get to the pinnacle of the sport and become a champion. It just must be amazing to be able to fulfill that dream after such a long career of ups and downs. Wanted to talk a little bit about the Ozdemir fight, and I thought he won that fight, to be honest. I thought he was landing the more efficient shots. I thought he was blocking a lot of shots coming his way, and he was slipping shots and coming in and firing away. I know he's the smaller guy, but he seemed to be the smarter fighter in there, and I thought he, landed the harder shots too, and I don't know where the judges went with that decision against him, but it wasn't like a huge upset. I mean, it wasn't a huge, missed call because, it was a pretty close fight, but it was clear to me that he got the better of Reyes, and he shattered his nose. His nose was all messed up, and Reyes seemed to lose a little bit of steam, and Ozdemir kind of staying stone-faced in there and working really good dirty boxing. Had a couple of really nice takedowns in there too. Seemed to improve in his game, in his grappling realm game. So I just don't see how he lost that fight, but hopefully they'll do like a rematch or something, or I don't even know, man. They should just calculate that as a win if they're watching that fight clearly. But man, Ozdemir's got some crazy power hooks, and he was coming off some losses, so it was good to see that performance from him. I consider it a win, so we'll see what happens, who they match him up with from here on out. But Dominic Reyes is not ready for the top of the division, a Daniel Cormier, a John Jones. I just don't see that being a good idea for him as of now. I think maybe they should put Reyes against, a superstar in the making, Johnny Walker. That would be a cool fight to see. Man, and what could you say after the fucking fight? Jorge Masvidal's doing an interview with Laura Sanko. Leon Edwards comes by, says something about July. They want to fight. He's, calling him out pretty much. Jorge's like, say it to my face. Leaves the interview, walks over towards Leon Edwards, and just throws a four-piece before anything can be said. And, man, he cut Leon Edwards on the face. Craziness backstage. we'll see what happens with that as far as fines goes, suspensions goes, because I believe that the UFC is the commission in London. I don't think they have their own governing body, so that might help Jorge Masvidal in the long run as far as troubles go, because UFC might be like, hey, listen, Edwards said something. He was walking towards him. He, threw a couple punches. We don't want to see that. Slap on the wrist. And, hey, we'll use this as fight promotion because, we want to, you guys just pretty much sold the fight. So we're going to make that matchup now and make money off of it. That's how the UFC works. So, honestly, those two guys just sold the fight. You can't throw suspensions and fines out and then use that footage as promotion. It just seems counterintuitive. So I just see little slaps on the wrist happening, and I see them matching those two up, to be honest. I think that's going to make for, it's going to sell the fight more. I think fans are going to want to see what happens with the lead up to that fight, and now curiosity of what would happen if those two fought, being that they pretty much came to blows in the back. And, we'll see if that's what happens. Hopefully, Jorge doesn't, rain on his own parade. He just had a beautiful win, and now he's got to deal with what happens after, that scenario. So hopefully, he stays out of trouble with it, and they get that matchup, and we see what happens in the cage with those two. So that's pretty much it. That's my UFC London recap. We'll see you guys next week for another Boom Breakdown. And thanks for tuning in. Follow me on my fight May 4th, Ottawa, Canada, against Mitch Gagnon. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram, BrianBoom135, and Twitter, same thing. Boom!